Hi, welcome. On this video, I want to take a few minutes to talk about the issue of the process itself making sense to the dog. And oftentimes what happens is it seems to make less sense, okay, to the dog owner than the dog. Because again, one thing to understand when it comes to this issue about emotion is it's like a drug. It really can get in the way of people being successful when it comes to pushing through to the other side, because again, because of the reactions of the dog, how the dog reacts to the script changing process, this issue about control, it really will play off those emotions in such a way it causes people to get in this type of a hamster wheel that they can't get out of, because again, they're always projecting that emotion, and it really causes them to it hampers them when it comes to promoting right thinking through leadership. But again, it's really important to understand that with dogs. Now, here's the thing: is even though you're going to get reaction from the dog based on control issues, okay, based on the fact that they already have gained power and position in the relationship relationally. It still makes sense to the dog. Okay, just understand that. I mean, even though you get resistance and reactions from the dog, it makes sense to them. Because here's the thing, they cannot release that on their own. Okay, it's not like something that they just come out of without this type of relational script coming online this way to promote change through the person. I mean, the person has to be that the agent of change. They have to be the one to take that, and because that's the whole point here, is that the dog has taken that role because they felt there was a vacuum. Okay, just how nature works, and relationally. So as soon as the dog comes into your home environment, they're already starting to package it up. Dog, it's a very profound connection, at the relational level. Dogs are very intuitive that way. They're able to get a sense of where you're standing and how your emotions, how they connect, all those different things. So that's the biggest problem when it comes to training is help, and then again how people approach the training process to switch out those roles. That's another major problem, because again, if you approach it as a learning based exercise, well, ask yourself the question: where's the focus? How does that change the focus on the person changing? Well, it shifts it over to the dog. It's not helpful. It's really important to to let the process itself make sense, speak the language. Because here's the thing: the dog will come into agreement. Okay, this is the thing about it making sense. The dog, and that's why I talk about these things about motivators. I mean, people looking for things to motivate the dog to build this picture through response. Again, major problem if you try to work off that type of concept, because again, what it does is you're dealing with the motives of the dog. I mean, these control issues. I mean, the motives have to clean up. I mean, they have to align. It's about right relationship. So again, this thing about emotion, it's a huge problem. It's really important, because here's the other example. If you're a parent and your child is going through something where they're totally in some sort of rebellious stage, they're doing wrong things, where do you draw the line with negotiation? Okay, you go in and you sit down with them. You can talk all you want, but and it's reasonable to do that, right? But then there's a point where there's no negotiation. Okay, that only goes so far. If the child is totally got blinders on, you're going to do the right thing. It doesn't mean it's unreasonable either. That's the thing to understand. You can compare this to the process. You're just going to do what's right, and you're going to do it in a reasonable way because you love your child. And it still makes sense to them, even though they got the blinders on and they're going to resist you in the end, at the very end, once you push through. Well, they'll see it at some point. All right, it may not be then, it may not be at whatever point, but looking back on it, they're going to say, hey, you know what, I'm glad my parent, I was out of my mind. I was like going through some sort of psychosis, the psychosis of being a teenager. But you're going to push through, right? As a parent, you do the right thing. Well, it's no different with dogs. Dogs actually know what's happening. Okay, they make sense of it. So you have to push through. You can't let your emotions get you trapped into this, allow this wall to go up where you can't push through, because the dog will just keep holding it. They're going to keep holding power and control, and you'll never get out of it. So, because understand, nature understands. Dogs make sense of it. They can, because it's about what's reasonable. Okay, it's all about reasonable. So you may get a very unreasonable reaction, and you will. Okay, with the dog's holding a high level of control, but it's how this levels out, how it covers off. Just understand you have to reconcile what's the process itself, what it represents, and just move beyond it. And then once you, again, same thing. Once you come out on the other side, looking back, you can say, wow, this makes complete sense. My dog is much happier. The stress loads are off my dog. All the behavior issues are gone. But you have to hold the line. You've got to move through it to understand what. Why you're doing it. And again, this is why I explain to people when I sit down with people and I talk about the process. It's not just about doing a method. I tell people, I say, there's no sense doing something unless you know why you're doing it. I mean, just think about that. So when I'm explaining the method to people, I'm explaining it to them why they're doing it at the relational level. This issue about the motives of the dog, about why don't use certain things, about what's reasonable, the process, what that represents at the nature level. So all these things really clear the air. It's like, okay, well, that makes complete sense. And then, if it makes sense to you, then guess what? You're going to do it. Okay, but it's the same thing. So anyway, just something to think about. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Understand that, it's just like parenting. It's about what's reasonable. We have to take the lead role. We have to do that which the dog isn't going to do on their own. I mean, they're not going to release it. You have to do that for them. It's about doing the right thing. And it's about, coming out on the other side. So anyway, thanks for watching.